TYT Sports, talking boxing with our guy, Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com. Robert, how are you today?
I'm great. It's all good.
Good to hear. Obviously, Wladimir Klitschko fighting Marc Mormeck, going for his 50th knockout in his 20th title bout. Let me start out by saying this, or let me start out by asking you this. How much of this pre-fight hype has gone into respecting and trying to hype up the challenger Mormeck from Team Klitschko?
I think a good deal of it has gone into that. I think they have to do that. Most people look at this fight as being a mismatch. Certainly it's a mismatch in terms of size. You have Klitschko, who's 6'6", Mormeck, who's under 6 feet. Klitschko at 245, Mormeck at 216. So on paper, it's a huge mismatch. And Mormeck, even though he's been campaigning at heavyweight, he hasn't really fought the class of the class. And when he gets in the ring with Klitschko, that's exactly who he'll be facing.
Just to illustrate here very quickly the tale of the tape. As you said, Wladimir Klitschko, 4 years younger than Mormeck. Mormeck 39, Klitschko 35. Klitschko 6'6", 245, Mormeck 5'11", and in his 3 fights where he is 3-0 as a heavyweight, he has not weighed more than 216 pounds. A big discrepancy, to say the least. As I said, he is 3-0. He's coming back off a 2-year retirement since he lost to David Haye, where he lost 2 of his belts at cruiserweight. I mean, what should we expect from Mormeck starting with his weight? Do you think that he'll come in at 216, over 216, try to weigh towards in the arena of Wladimir Klitschko? What do you think, Robert?
Well, I think he's going to come in and he's going to fight like the small man that he is. He's going to have to try to get inside of Klitschko's jab, which is going to be a fight in itself. And he's got to try to sort of play the angles. I mean, he knows what Klitschko's weakness is, as do all fighters, and it's his chin. And there may be some questions about his heart, although it hasn't been tested in many, many years. So he's going to have to fight like a small man. He's going to have to fight like a mini Tyson. Unfortunately, he is no mini Tyson. He's Marc Mormeck. He's got his work cut out for him.
You know, it surprised me when you hear Wladimir Klitschko, and I understand you gotta hype up the gate for each fight. I totally, completely, 1,000% understand that. But saying that he is a similar Mike Tyson-like fighter, I mean, what does that say about this sort of fight when we have a no-name coming in to many, many people, and he hasn't fought in 15 months? Trying to hype him up like that. What does this say? What does that say about this fight?
Well, you know, I think Klitschko is repeating a lot of what he hears from his trainer, Emanuel Steward, who knows Klitschko a lot better than we do. And part of it is psychological as a big part of the game. And I think Steward, because he knows Klitschko as well as he does, needs to sort of reinforce to Klitschko that this is not a walkover, but that this guy is possibly, quote-unquote, you know, this mini Mike Tyson, that you never know what's going to happen. You're in there. Anybody can get caught. Upsets happen all the time. Heavyweight champions get dethroned all the time. And I know that Emanuel Steward's a smart guy who really knows boxing, and he's working not just with Klitschko's body, but by Klitschko's mind, and I think that Klitschko's repeating a lot of what he's been hearing from his trainer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I'd probably say that as well. Let me give you a quote very quickly. Seems to be a trend of what they are saying. This is Emanuel Steward. He said, you know, the small guys don't have much of a target, and you're always in danger of breaking your hands. What does he mean by that?
Well, I don't know exactly what he means by that. I guess what he means by that is that because they have to punch down, they run a risk of hitting the top of their opponent's head, which is harder certainly than their chin. So I gather that's what he means by that. But again, you know, Manny Steward is he's a savvy, not only a savvy boxing guy, but a savvy kind of promotional guy. I mean, he's there on HBO. He's very articulate. He knows the game. So, I mean, everything that he says needs to be taken with a grain of salt, but should by no means be ignored.
Obviously, they're not overlooking this guy. However, another trend that keeps coming out of the Klitschko camp and their team is that the beginning of this fight is going to be very challenging. That the first 3 rounds are going to be very interesting and competitive. And then even Wladimir admitted to the press in the press conference saying that, you know, those first 3 rounds will be interesting, but then I'll finish him off. I think I will finish him off. Not guaranteeing a knockout, though, as he did against David Haye. Might be going for it to land number 50. But why do they keep saying that this fight, just in the beginning, will be competitive?
Well, because it might be competitive. I'm not saying it will be, but it's a possibility that it will be competitive, at least in the first few rounds. I mean, once Klitschko sort of loosens up, because as you know, he sort of fights tight. Once he loosens up a bit, once he sort of softens up Mormeck a bit, then the fight is over, basically. I mean, Mormeck will be eating jabs, and Klitschko's got that booming right. He doesn't fire it often, but when he fires it well, and it's an effective weapon. So I think they're saying that, again, in part to generate interest in the fight, but also because I think it's probably an accurate representation of what we can expect tomorrow.
Another quote from Wladimir Klitschko saying, "I've been criticized for having him," as in Jean-Marc Mormeck, as an opponent. Should this be much of a surprise that people are criticizing him for having this sort of opponent?
No, it shouldn't be a surprise, and I'm sure it's not a surprise to him. But again, I mean, the Klitschkos are blamed for a lot. But one of the things they can't be blamed for is the paucity of talent in the heavyweight ranks. That's not their fault. They are superior fighters, given their size, given their discipline, given their skills. They're not scintillating boxers. They're not, they're not on the edge of your seat fighters, but they are highly skilled, in addition to being very sort of intelligent, articulate, all that other stuff. But again, they're not to blame for the shallow talent pool at heavyweight. I mean, they will fight whoever is in front of them. They've ducked nobody. Now it's Mormeck's turn.
Robert, let me ask you a question. Do you know how many heavyweight champions there have been that have resided from France?
From France?
Mm-hmm.
Heavyweight champions from France? I don't think there have been any.
That is correct. There has never been a heavyweight champion who hails from France. So let me ask you this. Is this a very big fight for the country? Are they paying attention to this fight?
I would assume so. I mean, I don't know that Mormeck is native-born to France, but I'm sure they're paying attention. I mean, the French have had some amazing fighters. I think of Marcel Cerdan, the former middleweight champion. I mean, so the French are very interested in boxing. Even though, as you say, there's never been a French heavyweight champion, but before the Klitschkos, there was never a Ukrainian heavyweight champion either. So I'm not expecting Mormeck to upset the Klitschko juggernaut, but such things do happen.
You know, reading a lot about Wladimir Klitschko and his brother Vitaly Klitschko, they are hyped up in the media in every article that I have read as great champions. Is it because they're so personable? Is it because they stay away from really talking smack prior to the fight and staying very cool and calm before the fight? I mean, what's your take on all that?
I think it's both of those things. I mean, they do put a really good face on boxing. As you know, the face of boxing is not always so good. I mean, they are intelligent. They speak a dozen languages between them. I mean, they are incredibly successful, ambitious, always in shape, and they win. That's the thing about the Klitschkos, is that they win. And admittedly, they're fighting in a very, very weak division. But if you look back a little bit to Joe Louis's career and his quote-unquote bums of the month club or bum of the month club, when he had to fight people who were really not up to him in terms of skill sets, but were the best available opponents that were out there. And Louis went out there, did what he had to do, knocked most of them out, and none of them were bums, and he didn't fight them every month. But I mean, in a way, one could compare the Klitschko's competition to that period of Joe Louis's career. But they are good champions. They are winners. And again, I mean, for a sport that shoots itself in the foot with incredible regularity, I mean, to have the Klitschkos representing the heavyweight division, I mean, really ought to be something.
Just to display some of the criticism that Klitschko is facing prior to this fight and the opponent that he has chosen. One comment, hey Vlad, make it interesting. Tie one arm behind your back. Many are saying give him a Corey Sanders rematch. Give the people a Corey Sanders rematch. Should he retire from the lack of challengers? I mean, these are all questions to a fight that seems fairly mediocre on one side and a true champion on another. I mean, what are your feelings toward this? At least these are my feelings. What are yours?
Well, I mean, maybe Klitschko could tie one arm behind, one hand behind his back, and still beat Mormeck. I mean, that's the first point. The second point is getting Corey Sanders off the golf course and back into a boxing game is going to be nearly impossible. I mean, Klitschko is fighting everybody. If anybody can ever tell me anybody who Klitschko has docked, I mean, I'd like to hear it.
I'll tell you one, his brother.
Well, I mean,
kidding.
yeah,
I'm
but
kidding.
they made a promise to their mom. I mean, anybody who has a mom and anybody's ever made a promise, I mean, has to understand that.
Of course.
They love each other. They don't want to beat each other to smithereens. Who can blame them?
So, I mean, who could be next? I mean, I truly believe that he'll steamroll right through Mormeck. I think I speak for you saying that you believe that as well. So who could be next? Or should they, both brothers, at least Wladimir or Vitaly, one of the two, go into retirement because there is simply nothing left?
Well, I mean, I think there's Chris Arreola. I mean, Chris Arreola put up a
Chris Arreola's scrub material, though, Robert. He doesn't seem like he could even contend with Vladimir Vitaly.
But if they were to retire, that's sort of hypothetical. I mean, Arreola would be considered one of the likely candidates to be the next heavyweight champion.
What about Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury, he's big, but he's raw. I mean, very, very raw. I mean, he requires a lot more work. He's not ready for the Klitschkos, and Klitschkos have been at this since the time they were like, young teenagers. They are skilled. They are used to fighting, and they're always in great shape. Fury's just not ready. Robert Helenius, fighting out of Finland, he looks like a possible candidate, except he has had shoulder surgery after his fight with Derek Chisora that Helenius was gifted with a hometown decision. But he looked like a possible candidate because, again, he's been fighting for a long time. He fought in the amateurs. I mean, it's in his blood. His father's his trainer. So he seemed like a possibility, and perhaps down the road he will be. There's Seth Mitchell, a young guy coming up out of D.C., former Michigan State linebacker, getting a late start, but he's dedicated and he's strong and he's focused. And maybe in a couple of years, he fights Wladimir, and it might be a contest.
So what do you think at the end of this fight? Do you think that he knocks him out? Does he earn number 50 in this fight, or do you think it goes the distance? What do you think?
It seems more likely than not. I mean, Mormeck is not going to pull a David Hay. He's not going to come in and sort of like dance around and and then complain about his toe afterward. He's going to come. He's going to come to fight, and chances are he's going to come to get knocked out.
What round? If you had to put a number,
I'd say 4 or 5.